Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. After through the news you need to know about, running through the fan Q&A where we answer fans' questions. So much to talk about in today's show. Obviously, the Vic Fangio stuff is insane. But before we get into that, I want to talk about something that Chris Greer, and we talked a little bit about this on last week's show, but Chris Greer declaring, and I guess, I mean, everybody's heard this, that he declared, Tua as the starter for the year. He basically reiterated that again. And Bill Parcells came out and said, and there's been a lot of former NFL personnel or coaches or players who have come out and had an opinion on this. And we talked about this on, a few, I think the last two podcasts since the offseason ended. And the more you think about it, especially since the quarterback market is where it is, where the roster is, and I think people don't really, Mike McDaniel got a lot of hate after that game for no reason. But to go up to Buffalo, who is obviously a very good team with a very good quarterback, and should have won that game. There's a lot of plays that we've talked about on this show. To lose by 3 and not have your starting quarterback there, and one of the main reasons why you only won 9 games, some of the bigger reasons were because the quarterback play was so poor down the stretch of the season. I don't know, it's just more and more I think about that statement, the more and more it bothers me as a Dolphins fan. I think it should be, and like I said before, taken with great care on how to decide what to do there, because this roster really this upcoming season they have a shot to be really good, and there's a lot of people that, Christian Wilkins being one of the bigger names, who might not be with the franchise after this season. So they have a window that they need to hit, and I think the season could be really special, especially if the Fangio thing gets locked down. I think this defense has potential to be really good if they come back, if everybody can come back healthy, and I think the scheme change that Fangio can present to the team will really help out a lot of people on this roster. I think you'll see double-digit sacks from Jalen and Bradley. I think you'll see a lot of career years for a lot of people if the Fangio thing gets dealt with, but which we'll get into here in a second. But I just thought it was interesting that people, Bill Parcells came out and said that, he wouldn't be comfortable going into the next season with this situation at quarterback. Chris Collinsworth said the same thing in terms of like the roster being good, and do you really want to wage it all on the health of a quarterback who has not been healthy since he got into the NFL. And his play wasn't great down the stretch of the season. I just want to bring this up because there are options out there for them, and the fact that they just not even considering any of it, in a way, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I think it's a good thing that they take the pressure off of him a little bit, but I don't know. I hope we draft one. I think that's the best route to go. I don't necessarily think replacing Tua is the best idea, but I do think that getting someone who can give you good play at that position is going to be important this offseason. That's something that they're going to have to address, because I do believe Tua had a phenomenal season. He took a major step forward, but the team is too good, and the fan base deserves it. Obviously, Tua made his first Pro Bowl as an alternate. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to go, but it's the first Pro Bowler since Dan Marino at the quarterback position. I don't believe Chad Pennington made it that year, and he could have, and maybe because he did win Comeback Player of the Year in 2008. But someone can correct me. I might be wrong about that. I would have to check that, but I don't believe he made the Pro Bowl that season. So I don't know. It's just something that they're gonna have to at least. The most interesting thing was the Anthony Richardson report, and it still blows my mind that he's a second-round graded guy. I think if he did fall to the second round, that would be a huge steal for the Dolphins as a franchise for sure. But again, I think the draft is the best way to go with that. And again, one thing I want to say as well, and there might be some people like, oh, why don't you keep Skylar Definitely not keeping Teddy. Their play was just, and I know he's a rookie, but some of the stuff that they put on tape was just so bad that, I don't know, I just do not feel comfortable if I was Chris Greer going into the season with the situation that like it is now. And I do believe we have a championship team, and it just really would take, I think if Fangio comes, if Tua can stay healthy and be, if he can stay healthy for a season, I do think this is a very special team. So we'll see if they can get it done. Again, it's going to take great care this offseason. This is where Chris Greer is definitely going to make his bones. So far this offseason, now it's really early on. It's been a little weird. I'm not even going to lie, especially with this next news story. This comes from Pro Football Rumors. Let me pull this up. This is the latest on Vic Fangio. Again, this comes from Pro Football Rumors. The Dolphins appeared to make a significant addition to their coaching staff yesterday, coming to terms on a deal with Vic Fangio to make him their new defensive coordinator. Contrary to what some have since reported, though, the move does not appear to be official at this point. He is apparently, this is like, there have been reports that he is going to talk to San Francisco. The Panthers seem to be off the board at this point. Denver seems to be some being seriously considered as well since the Sean Payton move happened, which is very interesting. It would be weird if he went back to Denver. I don't understand. I know it's new ownership, but I don't know. That's just a weird. I don't know why. I don't know. This would be a game. And I saw some beat writers. I think it might have been Barry Jackson. Not beat writers, but a beat writer. Say that it's like, why are Dolphins fans freaking out about this? I thought that was a stupid comment. I was like, what do you mean? Like, coaches aren't important. The coaches are significantly important to a season, especially if you're an above average coordinator. Anytime you're above average in anything, in a sport, that's pretty important. And that he's one of the best at what he does as a coordinator. And this could really change the trajectory of the team, and especially that defense, because I really do believe in it. And I think that scheme fits the players that we have on the roster right now, and I think it would be a game changer for a lot of the guys on the roster. So yeah, this is a very big deal. I hope it doesn't feel like he's going to be our defensive coordinator, if you guys want me to be honest with you. I think the fact that he's even hesitant to do it is a bad sign. I mean, I don't know what else he could want. I mean, according to the report from Tom, and again, I didn't even want to do this podcast right now, and I waited to do it because I was like, okay, hopefully he can make his dang decision. But obviously that hasn't happened yet. Who knows? Hopefully it's good news, but it doesn't look like it. What I completely just, according to the Tom Pelissero report, which is what kind of broke this whole thing, he was going to be the highest paid. It was like a 3-year. He was supposed to be the highest paid. There wasn't really a number on it, but he was going to be the highest paid coordinator in the league. He's going to have that defense to himself. It's someone that obviously, at least reportedly, Mike McDaniel really wants. So I don't really understand. If he's hesitant, to me, that's not good. I mean, what else could you want? To me, that means you really just don't want to coach here. It's like, oh, maybe he thought that was his only option coming to Miami, and then he just got a bunch of other options, and he was like, okay, maybe I don't go to Miami, which isn't a good sign. But since DeMeco Ryans went to Houston, the San Francisco 49ers have a ton of interviews with a lot of different defensive coordinators. I think the biggest threat, and it's weird because it came out of nowhere, is definitely Denver. And maybe it is San Francisco, but it just doesn't seem like... This seems like something... I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling about it for whatever reason. And just reading all the stuff, I hope not, because like I said, he really would significantly, and I do think we would win the division if he was our defensive coordinator. I think he would significantly change things for a lot of reasons, but we'll see what happens. it sucks that because it was obviously very exciting when the reports came through, and it was obviously significantly. It was a great hire. Everybody's hyped up. Next thing we know, this dude's not pinned to paper, and the people that have like. The people that have been reporting, like, oh my god, the hate on the Dolphins fandom, I'm not even gonna lie, some of it's definitely well warranted. There is a lot of morons out there. I don't know, just the way sometimes that things get reported bothers me. It's a little annoying, but what else are you gonna do? It's the life of being a Dolphins fan. You think you got something? I mean, we can bring up multiple times where this has happened. Obviously, Drew Brees is the biggest one. Nick Saban saying he's going to stay in Miami is another one. Not that I think anybody really wanted that at the time anyway. But, I don't know. It's a part of being a sports fan, and it is what it is. But I hope they can somehow reel him back in. And as of other news, there's really nothing else that, one thing I will say, and it is worth bringing up, that the options if Vic Fangio isn't hired aren't great. And one of the things that I think the Dolphins have to be careful of if this does fall through is hiring someone who's a first-time defensive coordinator. And that's obviously going to probably happen if they can't reel back in Vic Fangio. If they get someone like Campolini or the guy who was, I can't remember his name right now, the Chicago former defensive coordinator, or defensive assistant. I think he was a defensive coordinator. Was he a defensive coordinator? Now I'm starting to lose my mind. That would be fine. Like, he's obviously called plays before. I just, like, getting a new coach who hasn't ran a defense, I think is a really bad idea. That would be worst case scenario. Hopefully they don't do that. Maybe we can get Wade Phillips out of retirement. Who knows? But I doubt that. But, someone who's had a lot of experience would go a long way. And if they can't get that, that would be a huge loss. Everybody cross your fingers and your toes, okay? Because despite what some people think, this would be a significant hire. And really would help out. Not that it would, like, change the fact that this roster is still not good. It would just... It would be a great coach coaching great players, which is always a formula for great things. So that's pretty much it. There's really nothing else to talk about. Hopefully Vic will be signed. If he is, it would, like I said, be amazing. And let me know what you guys feel about the quarterback thing. I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like it should have been treated with a little bit more care than it has been. I feel like just flipping it over and being like, all right, this is what's going to happen. It's like, you guys aren't going to at least explore other things. Because even like something like Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, that has to at least be explored a little bit. That is too significant not to be. I think that's a little ridiculous. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. This comes from Pro Football Rumors. Dolphins want to re-sign cornerback Nick Needham, which is a great sign. Via Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, the 26th. So again, this comes from not just the Pro Football Rumors, but the Miami Herald. So that's good. That's good news. We pair him with, like, the thing is like, depending on his market, it's not someone that they desperately need back, because I feel like obviously the Dolphins don't have the infinite cap, but losing Nick would suck. But they do have Kader Kohu, and if they bring back Byron Jones, and let's say Vic Fangio does come back, Nick could be the odd man out when it comes to that, depending on his market. But with Byron Jones going back to more of a zone multiple defense, that could be something really special, especially with Xavier Howard on the other side. So let's just hope Vic Fangio gets signed. But yeah, it's nice that they want to re-sign Nick, and hopefully his market isn't too ridiculous, but we'll see, because they do have a really nice depth there. If they're rolling, and again, if they stay healthy with those Kader, Byron, and X, that's a special group. I think that's it for the news. I want to make sure. Let me flip through this really quick, and then we'll get into fans' questions. Chris Richard is out there. I don't know if he was signed with anybody, but that could be interesting if Vic Fangio isn't signed. That would be interesting, as long as it's someone who has done it before. I think that's, and Chris has had success at that. And, he runs the Seattle cover 3 and the quarters cover 4 that everybody runs. So it wouldn't be the worst. It wouldn't be the worst scheme fit either. All right, so let's get into the fan candidate. There's only 2. This is going to be a short episode. There's only 2 questions. It'll be interesting. Only 2 questions, but again, hopefully this whole Vic Fangio thing turns out all right. This first question comes from Mark. He says, "What's up with the Vic Fangio situation? We talked about it. It is weird." This next question comes from user. He says, "Are you franchise tagging anyone on this roster who's in contention for it? If anyone, no. Obviously, Mike Gesicki isn't going to be. I mean, Van Ginkel, you could think about tagging. That's something you could consider, because Van Ginkel is a very good outside linebacker. He's not a superstar, but he's a very good, he's just a good player. So that's something that they could consider, I guess, but definitely not anyone else. I can't think of anything else. Nick Needham, it is what it is. I do think that Van Ginkel would be someone that would be, especially if Vic is the defensive coordinator. That's another young player that I feel like could benefit from a defense like that. It sucks. It would suck to see him go. Mike Gesicki, I don't know why. I think people just need to let that go. And it is what it is. So now to answer your question, this thing went off. To answer your question, user, no, I don't think there's anybody worth tagging. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing else really to talk about. Hopefully Chris Greer will at least think about players like Anthony Richardson or maybe an Aaron Rodgers trade. I think that's something that, we all want to win a championship. I would cry my eyes out if we had a home Dolphins game in the playoffs. I think that is something that is very important to the fan base and very important to just obviously the fan base and the franchise itself. It's been way too long. They have a really good coaching staff. They've got a really good roster. I think putting your team in the best position to win and to win a Super Bowl is the most important thing. And he's just doing his job as a general manager. Not to hurt it. And I know Tua's dealt with a lot in his career. It is what it is. If he had... obviously, you can't just overlook some of the things that we saw at the end of the year. That's all I'm saying. And to not explore those options is a really stupid thing to do. And especially since the quarterback market. And again, I think it's only a few situations that would warrant it. But if they do, at least explore them. At least have a talk with the Packers, I think is something that you should at least try to do. Even if you lose to obviously we don't have the most draft capital in the world, but at least try, So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully next time we do the podcast, Vic will be a Miami Dolphin. So that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.